Hello, welcome to the Richardson's channel brought to you by the founder of the Better One and the Richardson's channel, Abu Mansa. Today, I'm going to be reviewing a book called Outwitting the Devil. And I'm going to give you 3 parts on how the Outwitting the Devil book was created and the interview of the devil. This book was created by Napoleon Hill after he started his journey after meeting Andrew Carnegie in 1908, where Carnegie asked Napoleon Hill to create a success formula by studying people through the years, hundreds and hundreds of people who succeeded and failed, created a success book called The Laws of Success and Think and Grow Rich. In 1926, his life was threatened due to a news story that was published by a friend who he was also involved in. He was called and tipped off. Luckily, that call saved his life and he got out of town, where he discovered his other self, which also produced a series of events that caused him to move to Washington, D.C. briefly, where he had a spiritual moment at the Lincoln Memorial, where he started to shiver, his body started to shiver, and he tapped into a spiritual enlightenment, I would call it, where he had an interview with the devil. This book was written in 1938, but it was only published in June of 2011 due to his fear, which the devil said would happen in this book as well. And his wife was also fearful of the backlash, I guess. He was scared of the backlash that would happen from releasing this book. So the Napoleon Hill Foundation decided to release the book in June 2011. It has been 13 years since this book has been released. It still is gaining traction till today. So I'm gonna give you some of the key points today to kind of help you. If you know the book, you can become aware. Go buy the book online. It's on Amazon. It's everywhere. I actually have read the book 10 times. I've listened to the audio. It's a great audio. It's the best audio I've ever heard, just because of the realness it has. So the method that the devil says he uses in this book when he's talking to Napoleon Hill is called drifting. And what drifting is, if you ever heard the song called Row, Row, Row Your Boat. So basically, when you're focused on something, you're rowing your boat, you're steering your boat straight in a straight line. So you're moving in a direction that you want it to go. But as soon as you stop doing that intentionally, it has become what they call drifting. So this is what drifting is. And I'm going to give you some of the methods that cause drifting. And the devil says he uses to Napoleon Hill cause drifting. Number one is marriage. He says, I cause men and women to drift into marriage without any plan or purpose. It's designed to convert the relationship into harmony. I cause arguments over money, raising children, intimate relationships, and friends. I keep them so busy finding fault with each other that they never have time to do anything else long enough to break that habit. So a lot of people nowadays do not have a clear purpose on who they want to marry, why they want to marry them, and how they're going to marry them, which is a big reason why the divorce numbers are so high. Like the divorce in America, I think the percentage is almost 50%. That's pretty high for something that's supposed to be definite to you till you part. That's a pretty high percentage, in my opinion. But also, I would say that there's a lot of men that have been successful until they get married to certain women. I'm not even going to use any examples to offend anybody, or I'm just going to say there's a lot of men and even women that will be on a straight path and focus, but due to them wanting love or chasing marriage and not knowing what they want out of that marriage causes them to drift, and everything they acquire before the marriage is destroyed because of that marriage. I've seen it also with people I know, family, people have been destroyed by divorces. If you're gonna marry someone, it should always be something that you do. So this could probably, most likely, if it's marriage that's causing drifting, you should definitely think about even dating people constantly. Dating people without purpose or plan will definitely cause you to drift. because, I mean, it's easy to fall in love with the thought of someone, and that thought of someone can distort your actual thoughts, derail your plans, your purpose, even your whole life. Number two is occupation. Occupation, the devil says, I teach people to become drifters by causing them to drift out of school into the first job they can find with no action, into the first job they can find with no definite aim or purpose. Through this, I trick and keep millions of people in fear of poverty all of their lives. So, occupation, this is kind of self explanatory. People are born into poverty. A lot of people are born into poverty. I was born into poverty. And occupation is something that you definitely have to be serious about, because if you don't know what you want to do, someone's going to choose that for you. So if you don't have any plans of what you want to do, someone's going to have plans for you. That's a quote, I believe. With occupations, I noticed, like, when I was young, I always just wanted to survive my environment. My whole thing was always survival. So I never had any plans of really doing much plans. My dream was being a rapper. So that was my only plan, my only mission, for real. But other than that, you have to choose your occupation. If you look at someone like LeBron James, who is obviously physically talented, but he knew at a young age he was going to be the greatest player to ever live. And he has never, ever stopped doing that since he was a little kid till this day. You look at people like that, you look at people like Jeff Bezos, who built a company from his garage, and now he's one of the richest men to ever live. His company is worldwide. Uh, so you have to be very, very careful on what you do. If you are thinking about moving into a job, even if you have to work, make sure you choose that job and don't let that job choose you, because that job can cause you to drift, even if you have plans. If you have a plan to work and build something to get out of working for somebody else, you have to choose the job with definite purpose. I'm gonna get to that later, but occupation is a reason for a lot of people to get stuck. I know people that be at jobs for 10 years and get nothing from it. That's drifting. You're just doing that to survive. You're drifting. You're not on your purpose. You're just letting it control you. Number three is savings. I cause people to spend freely and to save sparingly or not at all until I take complete control of them slowly through the fear of poverty. Once again, this is the fear of poverty that he's using to cause fear. And with savings, this is self-explanatory. Like, you gotta save your money and use your money purposely. So even if you had $1 million today, if you had no plan of saving your money, you're gonna lose that $1 million in a week, a day, a month, a year, but you're gonna lose it and you're not gonna get it back. You know, that could be your only time to have a million, because you don't have a plan. So not saving the right way and not having a plan to save is going to cause you to drift. So that's number three. Number four is your environment. This is one of the biggest things. He told him he caused people to drift into inharmonious and unpleasant environments in the home, in their places of occupation, in a relationship with relative, acquaintances, and remain there until he claims them through the habit of drifting. The environment is very crucial, and a lot of people will never ever make it due to being born in the environment they are, mostly because they don't have information like this and they don't even know they're drifting. They just think this is life, which it is. You're born into this. So just like I said, I was born into crazy environment, but I never planned on staying there. So, but when I was young, I didn't know about these things. I was the same way as a lot of people today. So in your environment, you become your environment. If you're not definite about getting out of that environment and trying to change yourself so you can change your environment, the people you hang with, the house you live in, the schools you go to, the things you see, all of these will cause you to drift. Any environment you're in, if you look at the people, the rich stay rich, the poor stay poor. Why? Because if you're born into a wealthy family and all you see is wealth, all you're gonna know is wealth, you're gonna produce more wealth. If you're born into poverty, all you see is poverty, all you see is guns, stealing, robbing, killing, you're going to eventually turn into that unless you don't drift and you are one of those people that just know. But it's a lot of people that just don't know. It's a very small percentage of people that come from those type of environments get out of those situations. But environment is probably, to me, the top thing. If you know you want to get out of that environment, you have to get out of it. You're not going to be able to grow in that environment. Don't think you can. You're not. You're not going to be able to change that environment. The environment is going to stay the same. Number 5, for methods of causing drifting, he told him your dominating thoughts. I cause people to drift into the habit of thinking negative thoughts. This leads to negative acts and involves people in controversies and fills their minds with fears, thus paving the way for me to enter and control their minds. When I move in, I do so by appealing to people through negative thoughts, which they believe to be their own. I plant the seeds of negative thoughts in the minds of people through the pulpit, the newspapers, the moving pictures, the radio, and all other popular methods of appeal to the mind. I cause people to allow me to do their thinking for them because they are too lazy to do the thinking for themselves. So, just like your environment, wherever you put in your mind, whatever you feed your mind, will be the most you spend your time. That's what you're gonna think about the most. And if you're thinking negative thoughts all day, if you're looking at negative things all day, if you just see negative things all day, eventually your mind is going to be negative. It's going to be filled with fear of poverty, fear of death, fear of old age, fear of everything. You're just going to fear everything, and that fear is going to cause negative things to come into your life, negative things to affect your life, and you're going to continue to produce negative things, which is going to cause you to drift. The whole purpose of this is to not drift. It's to keep straight in your purpose. We all have a purpose, and you can create your purpose. But in my opinion, God gives us all a purpose. You just have to find it and put it on paper, put it in your mind, and focus. And do that. Everything you do should be based on that purpose. Now, drifting is procrastination. Laziness plus indifference equals procrastination equals drifting. So all drifting is you procrastinating on doing things that you need to do to produce whatever you want to produce. So that's all drifting is. The devil will use the following things as a method to enter your mind to cause you to drift. So if you have a dream of becoming a doctor, you will use these things to keep you, to get in your mind, to eventually cause you to drift away from becoming that doctor, anything you want to become. One of these things is love, the thirst for sex expression, covetousness for money, the obsessive desire for something for nothing, like stealing, gambling. He uses vanity in women. He uses egotism in men, the desire to be masters of others, the desire for intoxicants and narcotic, the desire for self-expression and through words and deeds, desire to imitate others, the desire for perpetuation after life after death, desire to be a hero, and the desire for physical food. So all of these things he can use, which may feel good at first when you have the desire, and you can actually use all of those things for your betterment to the purpose. So all of the things I just named, you can use that to not drift. But eventually, these things also have the devil laced in them, and where he uses it for his advantage. To eventually, you will start drifting if you don't understand that he's actually trying to use these things, these desires, against you. So, like, say you're gambling, you may win your first time gambling. Like they say, beginner's luck in gambling, and then you think it's possible you can win, but in reality, most of the time, if you gamble, you're gonna lose. Stealing. A lot of people that steal are actually, they don't even steal to steal. They're addicted to stealing. Like stealing and getting away with something is actually addictive. So eventually, that could cause you to get in trouble, obviously, and that's gonna cause you to drift. Obviously, sex Like, we're gonna talk about that a little bit more later, but sex is big. It's a big problem in the world. Uncontrolled sex expression. Protection against drifting lies within easy reach of every human being who has a normal body and a sound mind. That is a quote from Napoleon Hill.